Welcome back to another episode of the Fruitful Three Show.
Yeah, buddy.
It's right. They're right. It's the final episode.
Final 3
of season 3.
or season, yeah.
And
I purposely did that.
Yeah. For all the people that are confused, for some reason happens every year. We go on a break, okay? We do seasons. We have the summer break, because Levi's busy, I'm busy. I have my own video game, YouTube stream, Twitch, whatever. I got music that I need to get out, bro. I've been slacking on music this year. I got other things I got to get done. Oh, I have a garden. That takes a lot of my time. Levi has his whole mechanics.
Yeah, dealing with farmers.
And dealing with farmers and pulling late hours.
Yeah. Yeah, your busy season starts, well, with you being in construction. There's a lot more to do in the summer than because you can actually go work out in the weather and work outside and do things.
Yeah.
Instead of worrying about snow and in the shop.
So we're just taking a break. There will be a season 4, baby. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So now that we got that all cleared up.
So we don't have any ideas yet for season 4. Maybe you do. I don't really. But if you have any ideas, drop those comments down below and we will definitely look into it and possibly try to make an episode out of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And if you're going to call us a bunch of liars from one of the first episodes where we said we're going to get guests on this season, well, you are correct, but with a twist. We're still working on it, trying to get it. We had a holiday, all that BS going on, but we're still trying to work on it. We'll have a bonus episodes. That's how we're gonna do it. We're gonna do bonus episodes. If we have to release them throughout the summer, it's fine.
I was gonna say we did have a couple of people lined up for certain episodes, but due to like their schedule and our schedule, it just didn't align. So unfortunately, sometimes that's how it goes. And so we weren't lying when we said we'd have guests. It was just the fact that their timeline and our timeline didn't work out. So that's on us. And next year we will do a lot better coordinating that and try to make it work a lot better.
All right, so we have officially made it. Season 3 is a wrap, and I want to start by saying this season hits different. We weren't just talking, we were diagnosing. Every single episode this season was a piece of a bigger picture. Seed oil, social media, small towns dying, independent artists rising, Epstein files, which I don't know why it's in there. That was like a bonus episode. Well, we did a lot of religion for the Epstein files. Dating apps, burnout, fake science, AI taking jobs. It was all connected. And today we're pulling back the curtain on that connection. What was this season really about? What do you want to walk away with? And what do you actually want to do with your life? So let's get into it. But before we begin, I have merch.
Yeah, buddy.
Real quick, before we go deep, if this season resonated with you, if any of these episodes made you rethink something, share it, tell a friend, leave a review. And if you want to support us directly, we've got merch. We've got ways to back independent voices doing this work. Links in the show notes. Independent doesn't survive on passive listening. It survives on backing and commitment. That's literally one of the things we talked about this season. All right.
Don't come after me, Kelsey.
That's Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, yeah, it is, isn't it?
You dummy.
Travis Kelsey does it all the time, though.
Yeah, and he can get away with it, just like you can. Hey,
you know what's sad? Travis probably has a little bit more pull than Matthew McConaughey because I gotta worry about the Swifties now.
Let them come. They ain't gonna hear much of you until next year. Till football season starts again. Yeah, so if you're new, we typically go around the football season. It just makes it really simple.
So usually we start off with we do a Husker preview, or at least it's more of a Husker preview, but we try to center it around college football. But since we're Husker fans, it leans more Husker than anything. And then we go into an NFL preview, and that leans more Chiefs and Ravens, obviously, as those are our two favorite teams, and it leans more that way. And then we dive into the hardcore.
Well, typically we have an entertainment video because you're off doing guard stuff,
Yeah.
military stuff. And so then we get into the real life.
Or every once in a while I'm gone for like a whole entire month due to anhydrous.
Yeah, or that too.
So yeah.
Yeah. So if you're wondering where Eli has been, well, Levi's been here. So
yeah. It's called the Fruitful Three. We need to get him in on.
Yeah, I know. He always has an excuse.
He's not a big camera guy.
Yeah, it's fine.
I don't care if I look like an idiot or not.
So let's go back to October.
So technically August 23rd is when we dropped our Husker one. But I kind of left I left the football preview one out of here. But yeah, if you want to get technical, August 23rd.
And it was September when we did the actual value one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is going us with the AI episode. We didn't kick it off with the AI episode. We just had the AI episode. AI is replacing young workers, job security crisis 2025. At that point, it wasn't to scare people, it was to say adapt. We traced decades of corporate restructuring, talked about what skills actually make you irreplaceable, gave you practical tools. So a lot of people are using AI as glitches in the system, I would say, and not as what AI was built for, which is a tool.
Yeah.
And so if you use it as your little fun addiction, I guess, you're going to end up with problems. But if you use it as an actual tool, you make your life a whole lot simpler.
The other thing is we touched on too was how like some of in the manufacturing world, how robots and AI and stuff is starting to take over like the actual physical labor of people to save big corporate money, which in the long run, there's pros and cons to it. So that was another thing, is some of your daily jobs in the next 5 to 10 years may not be there due to being replaced by AI.
And they've already got robots doing bricklayering for people, which is fine because we've been slacking with bricklayering, or haven't had many bricklayers in the past 20, 30 years. So it was time for a change in that part of the industry. Yeah. And then we discussed FOMO, the fear of missing out, how anxiety and social media are stealing your life. That one hit a nerve because we're all on these apps. We all know something feels off, but the episode really got into how algorithms are designed to manipulate your emotions. They're not designed for connection. They're designed to keep your eyes on the screen.
Yeah.
Were you here for the FOMO one, or was that Eli?
No, that was me.
Okay.
Yeah, because we talked about like how like when you go to like a certain, like kind of in high school where you'd miss out on a certain party.
Yes.
Of how sometimes you don't want to go to a party because you got other things and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, you hear about it the next day and you're like, man, I wish I was there because that sounded really fun. So yeah.
And then we went into fake science and health misinformation, which Levi definitely was not here for this one. How influencers become perceived authorities, how people fall for dubious claims. We talk about biblical discernment. You don't just accept what someone says because they said it with confidence. And then we went deeper. Is social media the devil? and we went spiritual with that one. What you feed grows. Attention is scared
Or sacred.
or sacred. Yes, thank you. If you're feeding your spirit a constant diet of rage and comparison and vanity, that's what you're cultivating.
So this kind of, since you were talking about like the diet of rage and stuff like that, so this kind of goes back to like these episodes kind of like go back to back a little bit, because like if you actually look at the Bible, there is an actual biblical diet, which people have actually taken food out of the Bible and they've figured out how to actually make a biblical diet out of it. And it's probably one of the most healthiest diets ever. And it's also, they have learned that if you do fasting and if you actually do fasting and don't eat, so America is the only country that actually eats 3 meals a day.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the whole thing of like where fasting comes in, because fasting also helps you mentally and physically.
Yes. Basically, when you digest food and like as what American diets contain is a crap ton of carbs, it creates kind of a brain fog. And then, your body doesn't burn through it all the way because it's so dense. And most of the issues like dementia and Alzheimer's and all those issues, heart disease, are now coming down to this 3 meals a day and tons of carbs and processed sugar and processed oils and all the fun stuff. Which is why we are happy to have Robert Kennedy Jr.
Yep.
Yeah, RD. Yeah, dang it. RKJ. There we go.
There we go.
RKJ in office that finally got us a pyramid that's closer to what it is and not just blah.
Yeah. And the other thing too is like even with fasting is some of that could be meditating, which is like of what you so with the whole like with the whole like is media the devil, it's basically what you're taking in of what you're watching, what you're seeing, because there are, like we've talked about, independent rappers, which we'll discuss that or hit on that a little bit later, but like what you listen to makes a certain way of how you feel, what you watch makes a certain way of how you feel, and so on and so forth. And if you put all that stuff into your body, you're going to have a range of certain emotions that hit differently compared to if you put nothing but negative stuff through your body, you're going to have a negative output on life. But if you put positive stuff in there, you're going to have a positive output.
Yes. And there are theories of how frequency works, which that's a little deep for one episode. That gets confusing, and a lot of people would call us liars if we got into that, but it happens. Then we hit the trades and the work schedules of nursing, trucking, and tech. Had the trade episode. The real talk about demanding careers, what first-year workers never hear before they sign up. And then we had the small town episode, while your small or hometown is dying, and 3 pillars on how we fix it, or how we can fix it. Identity, community anchors, and local ownership.
Okay, so since we hit on the small town one, right? So recently, one of our local small towns where Isaiah and I both work has recently opened up a vape shop. I think like the grand opening, I think the grand opening is like Monday, I think, because they posted it all over Facebook and stuff today and mentioned their own, or like, hey, we're officially in business, so on and so forth. So I don't know if the grand opening was officially today or if they're, you know what I mean, or if they're holding off. But according to their social media accounts, they were blowing it up so people could at least get interest in it. So that was one thing. Is I know I mentioned a story about one of my classmates and how she wanted a tattoo parlor and the community turned it down. Like, I realize some of these businesses may bring in the wrong type of people, but or at least the wrong type of people in your eyes. But at the end of the day, is we need to support our alumni. We need to support our small towns, and whatever business idea they have, we need to support them the best that we can. You don't necessarily need to support them financially, because if you don't want to, if you don't like, or how do I word it? Like if you're not into like tattoos, or if you're not into vaping or stuff like that, you don't have to physically support, like financially support them. But if you have like a friend that does or something like that, or even if somebody's asking what's all in your town, at least verbally mention that business, because what you're doing is you're helping that business grow, which actually in the long run puts revenue back into your town. And so, yeah. And the reason we went back to back with the whole trade thing is because a lot of your trade industry is starting to die, and then a lot of small towns are starting to die. And if the trades could figure out how to work better or pay better, like I wouldn't say pay better, but a lot of your trade jobs, they don't pay very well at this point, or they don't get compensated very well. And so a lot of times is people want to leave the town and go work somewhere else where they're going to be more respected, more compensated, more whatever. And so we need to bring those values back to small town, so then people want to come back to our small town and work in those fields.
There's not a much of demand.
There we go.
Well, there's X amount of contractors or trade jobs and X amount of demand, and the X amount of trade jobs is more than the X amount of demand.
It's all about supply and demand.
Supply and demand. And then not to mention the materials for the job for at hand is higher than the pay rate that the customers want to pay. So then you're low on profiting, which means low on a price raise or money. Yeah, that thingy.
The other so going off of that is that I really don't know how to say this without getting myself in trouble. But I've noticed there's certain, I'm going to call out one specific individual, but I'm going to call out a whole bunch of different people at the same time, so he's not 100% targeted. But there are several business owners or managers or stuff in your community that would rather go to Amazon. And the part that gets me is like, these guys are part of like your chamber, or they're part of a community group or something like that, and yet they're spending the money on Amazon because Amazon has it cheaper, and they're not putting the money back into the local businesses in the town. So how are you on a committee board, like a community committee board of some sort, and you're not supporting your own businesses throughout your community? And so that also affects it too, because if the business is not making money, then unfortunately they struggle with trying to not only pay their bills, but pay their employees. So you have to keep that revolving door kind of open of, I might save $10 on Amazon, but at the end of the day, I'm keeping my money local instead of sending it away to somebody else.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Then we went on the whole underground music run. Yes, sir. Yeah, 3 episodes. Yes, 3, baby. 3 on independent artiste. What's happening with the music industry? A personal story about a 30-pound weight loss journey thrown in there because that's what this show is. Real conversations. Yeah.
So we didn't. Not only did we talk about Christopher's 30-pound weight loss journey, we also talked about jelly rolls like
weight loss
200-pound weight loss journey.
As motivation, bro.
Yeah.
In the music industry, dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Then the NFL season recap. Super Bowl LX. Bad or 60, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Bad Bunny halftime show, the controversies, and finally, biblical dating versus modern dating. Why relationships are failing and how to fix them.
So if you don't know what we mean by, okay, so there's a lot of controversy going around the whole Bad Bunny halftime show. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's not only like, it's not just personal opinions of the Bad Bunny halftime show. It's also the fact that Turning Point USA held their own All-American halftime show. And so that is what truly caused a lot of the controversy, is because we had one that was done in we had one that was done in Spanish, and the other one was made up of country artists and talked about religion and problems with America and what they see. And so it, at the end of the day, it basically, the controversy is a big giant political statement made by both sides.
Yeah, just to make you more divided than what we already are, where we should just love each other and have fun with each other and bring unity to each other.
I will tell you, I really do. Okay, so with the whole Turning Point USA one, right? So with that, is the last time we had a country singer do a halftime show with Shania Twain, and she completely like destroyed it. Like it was one of the worst halftime shows, if not the worst. I don't know where the viewership rating was. I don't remember where that was on that one. But it was one of the worst halftime shows. Like, the cameraman had to take it off of Shania Twain. They had to start putting it on people in the stands. They had to start doing whatever they could to keep audiences entertained. So I will tell you, is the Turning Point USA had a lot better of a, like, if that performance was done at a Super Bowl for the country artists that they had, and that was the performance, I would have totally accepted it. Like, I think that would have been a better country halftime show. And I understand a lot of people have gone away from that country scene because of what Shania Twain does. But Turning Point USA proved that you can have viewerships with country artists. Secondly, like, the fact, like, we have never had a true rock artist perform for a halftime show. I mean, we've had like U2 and like
Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah, but it's never been like,
and Travis Baker showed up for one.
Yeah, but it's never been like somebody like as crazy as somebody like Kid Rock or like Metallica,
Korn
or Godsmack. So
Limp Bizkit.
Yeah, you could get Fred Durst would probably do it. But what I'm saying is, like, the fact that you actually was able to get Kid Rock to come out and do Ba Wada Ba, that to me was like, okay, this is something the NFL kind of never or hasn't done before, is somebody who with that much energy come out. And so I personally, I agree with JJ Watt with what he said about Bad Bunny, because I had no problem with Bad Bunny's halftime show. I mean, Bad Bunny, personally, I did not understand what Bad Bunny said, because it's been almost 15 years since I learned Spanish. So I personally had no clue what Bad Bunny said. I also like Latin beats. I also thought the choreography, like the message across the board, was pretty well done, of how he kind of like grew up, and he had that whole Puerto Rico culture deal and was showing how the culture in Puerto Rico was. I just, like I said, I liked it. I also liked the Turning Point USA one, because of the fact that the NFL has gone away from country music and gone away from big energetic performers like Kid Rock is. And so I don't know. I mean, I can do a whole toss up all day between the two.
Give me something to break.
All right, Fred.
I could see him going
You know,
out there.
you know they really need what they really need to do is they need to get Lil Wayne
Wayne
to come and do one. Come and do a halftime show. The reason I say that because Lil Wayne can go out, he can get Fred Durst. He did a song with Fred Durst. He can go out.
He could bring in Tech 9.
Yeah, he could bring in Tech. He's done. I mean, he's done about every single.
He can bring back Eminem. He can bring literally anybody, bro.
Yeah, because he's done it. Like he's done it with just about everyone. Like he's done. Or the other one I'd bring in is Yellow Wolf.
Yellow Wolf.
Because like you could get Travis Baker. You could get Jelly Roll. You could. I mean, Yellow Wolf's another one that's done it with just about everybody too. And yeah.
Alrighty. So here's what we have been building towards. Everything this season, all of it had one thing underneath it. Someone somewhere is counting on you staying passive. Passive consumers buy more. Passive citizens get governed harder. Passive partners get taken for granted. Passive communities hollow out. Passive believers get spiritually starved. The whole system and economic, cultural, spiritual, it runs better for everyone else when you don't act, when you scroll instead of build, when you stream instead of create, when you swipe instead of comment, when you doubt instead of seek. This was a diagnosed season, but today is the prescription, man.
Yeah. So what's crazy about this whole thing is we've been going over the book of Colossians and church, and what's crazy in there is because Paul, so the Apostle Paul came in and he preached the gospel to everyone, and everybody jumped on him, and they were free, and they were acting like they were free and not enslaved to the world. And then all of a sudden, other people started putting, I would call like the false gospel, and started kind of like poisoning the water hole, right? And then all of a sudden they started doing things, and then Paul had to write to him like, hey, like, you've abandoned this, like, start at, like, you're a new believer in Christ, you're not enslaved to the world anymore, you're free to do whatever you want, so on and so forth. And what's crazy in that is it's almost like today's culture is everyone wants you entrapped, and they don't want you to be free. Now, what's crazy about the whole thing is our founding fathers, when they wrote the Constitution, when they built this country, they never, I personally believe they never had the intention of a country being the way it is today, because they wanted you to be a free thinker. They wanted you to have the freedoms to build a business. They wanted limited government. All this, everything else, to where you could come from where you're being enslaved by someone, come here and have every free power to rise through the ranks. And so, that's exactly this is everyone is so afraid of true freedom that they try to keep you trapped, because they don't, it's a power trip.
Yeah, because if we have freedom, then they're not making money, and they gotta have all the money to keep you poor.
Yep.
Yep. Because they think money has value, which is stupid.
In a sense, money does have value, but it doesn't have value.
Well, it's not backed by gold or commodities. So
I was gonna say is money has value, so you can go buy things. Like you can go buy things, but at the end of the day, it's not really. You're when you die.
It's just a piece of paper.
Yeah, when you die, people are not going to remember you for how much money you have. People are going to remember what you did and how you treated them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I mean is it's a yes and no deal. Is money has value because you need money to buy things and to survive, but yet at the end of it it's what you do with it and how you and how you treat others is is where there's more to value than just money, or there's more to life, or however you want to word that. Then
we're also not trying to persuade you to be rioters of everything with this word passive. It's a very strong word. We're just trying to tell you to live like Jesus, man. Okay? Flipping tables and whipping people were not out of the question, but he was a pretty decent dude before that, okay? You got to move like a ninja, man. Jesus was one of those stealthy people that somehow attracted an audience around him, even though he was trying to be stealthy.
So since you brought the whole flipping of tables thing, right?
You're welcome.
So Jesus was never technically like angry. He never did any of that. And like everyone tries to use like, oh, but he flipped tables and he did this and so he sinned and everything else. No, Jesus was the Son of God, and they turned the church into
taxes.
Well, basically, it was like a marketplace / gamble house. Like they were running businesses and scam or like running businesses and scams and everything else out of there, and was like, hey, you need to do this. And Jesus went in there and he flipped tables basically to make a statement of like, hey, this is not what God intended you to use his house for. And so he did it to make a statement to prove that God's house is there to hear the word of God. It's there to help you get your life right, help you with your problems, so on and so forth, and not used for business or personal gain.
Amen. 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 We're not sending you out with a vague inspiration. We're sending you out with assignments. Oh my goodness. No.
What? No way.
No way. One per episode. Career and trades. Go talk to someone actually doing the job you're considering. Not a recruiter, not a YouTube video. A real person with dirty hands or tired feet who will tell you the truth about year one. So, you go talk to Levi about mechanics or about farm work or equipment, and he's going to tell you the raw, solid truth because he doesn't get paid enough for what he's worth,
So I will be honest with you, is I've been, it's been almost 10 years now that I've been out of the automotive field. But so personally, like I won't be able to tell you exactly how the automotive field works today. I can tell you from my experience in the past and with running a nonprofit of what I've seen from customers, what I've seen from shops, and what I've watched of trying, and videos that I've watched of trying to stay relevant with the automotive industry. But yes, I will take the time and I will try to help you as much as possible. As of right now, I will tell you is I have a person who's interested in the automotive industry, and I've helped him a lot with like trying to figure out tools. The tool industry has actually changed a lot, and it's crazy to even think about. And that is one thing I've kept up to date a lot, is how the tool industry works. I've tried to keep up on what comes out every year at SEMA, even though I have never been to SEMA, but I've tried to do that. And so I've told this young gentleman everything I know about the tool industry, and he's completely blown away from it because he did not realize that there are so many other tool brands out there besides like your Snap-on,
DeWalt, Milwaukee, Black & Decker, Ryobi, Snap-on, Craftsman.
So the crazy part is so I was actually, speaking of Craftsman, so I have a lot of Craftsman tools because when I started off, Sears was still around. If you don't know what Sears is,
it was like Amazon before Amazon. But they were stupid and didn't take it online marketing, and Amazon did, and Amazon succeeded, and Sears is now gone.
So Sears the best way to describe Sears is it was like a Home Depot, a Lowe's, so on and so forth. It was just an everyday usage store, right? And they had some of the best quality tools you could find. And when I started off, and I had a very wise tech tell me, do not go in debt buying tools, because they're going to either A, break, or like if you do go buy like Snap-on or Mac or Matco, you are going to unfortunately have to wait once a week, because usually those tool trucks only show up once a week at the shop. He told me do not go in debt with them because they cost a lot. He told me what you do is you support your local parts stores, or so like your Napa's, your Auto Values, your AutoZones, stuff like that. Go buy their local tools, because about any shop you go work for, there's going to be one of those in the town, or at least one close to town. And so when I started off, Sears had a beginner's mechanic set, which was actually like one of the first. Nowadays you can go anywhere and find like a beginner's mechanic set, but the deal is back then that was very, besides going to a name brand store like a name brand like Snap-on, it was you rarely ever heard of something like this. And so I bought that kit from Sears to start off with, and I still have a lot of those tools. I was talking to a Snap-on dealer the other day, and he actually told me that those like keep those. He said whatever you do, like keep, even when you get like old and gray, keep those, because those are so hard. Like the original, the way Craftsman has been bought out, and I don't remember who they were bought out by, but they've been bought out. They've changed the recipe for the tool makeup, right, for it, and apparently the quality of those tools are not the same as the qualities that I have. And so hearing that from a Snap-on dealer give credit to someone else and say, hey, whatever you do, those are like good, one of the best quality tools, and the quality of those are hard to find nowadays. That to me was like awesome to hear, because I knew I made a perfect investment way back then without even knowing I made an investment. So yeah, so go talk to somebody. I mean, Isaiah's over here. He's in construction. You can...
Don't do it. Don't do it, man. Don't do it.
There's a lot of how do I word this? The trade industry. We have, what do we do? 2 episodes, 3 episodes on it?
2 episodes.
And there's a lot of information in there. Granted, we didn't cover every single job out there, but the trade industry is probably one of the hardest industries to get into, because a lot of the people who, or a lot of the business owners, I should say, don't exactly understand how that works. They're no different than Isaiah and I, right? Because they went in there, they worked a few years, they're like, oh, hey, I'm tired of doing this, and they had a different thought, and they want to do it their own way, and so they started a business. But the deal is now with social media, and there's different like conventions and stuff, and different meetings and stuff you can go to. There's so much more material now than what there was back then. And the deal is everyone's like, well, this is the way I did it, and this is the way I grew up, and they keep running that same old system. And unfortunately, that same old system is what's failing them. They need to keep continuing and educating themselves as it goes on.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, like what I believe is, if Isaiah ever started a business, I believe that he would be better off trying to find ways to support his employees and to stay up to date with modern stuff and everything else, and he would totally change the way everyone looks at the construction industry. As it, like, even if I started my own shop, I would do things now now I would do things differently than what I would have when I got out of the industry, because I was like, there ain't no way I'm making a business off of this. And now 10 years later, I'm like, oh, hey, I've learned all this other stuff. I could actually go. And the sad part is I don't ever want to take business away from the competition, because competition is what actually builds things, right? I need to do something a little bit different than this person so I get the upper advantage, but I don't ever want to put this person out of business, because then 100% it's solely on me, right? But the deal is I know enough now that I wish, like, if I ever had the opportunity of running a shop or managing a shop, I guarantee you I could pull more business than the competition, just because of doing the research behind it and how we should treat our employees and respect our employees. So yeah.
All right.
Talk to someone.
Yeah.
There's a little, sorry, I went into a little rant there, but
yeah,
that's the deal. Is if you go talk to someone, you're going to learn all this.
Assignment number 2, health and seed oils. Go open your pantry right now.
It's kind of white.
My goodness.
Sorry. We're currently remodeling our pantry. And so as of right now, it's blank and white.
But go open your pantry after this episode, or go run right now. Go.
Literally open it. Go.
Take your phone. Go to the kitchen. Okay. Open that pantry. Yeah. That one right there. Yeah. Grab anything that you feel like you want to have a snack right now, huh? Yeah. And read the ingredient label on that. Yeah, you're reading those Doritos. Yeah.
You're telling me I can't go eat Oreos after this?
No. No. Yeah. Pick one thing with canola, soybean, or vegetable oil in it, and that's pretty much the whole pantry right there nowadays. So figure out how you can replace it. I've just gone away from. I really don't snack much anymore. That's the sad part. I switched to like butter and tallow and coconut oil and all that fun stuff.
So one thing I will say on this is, so my wife is diabetic, and with that being said, is I didn't realize this book was out here until she actually found it. But there are books out there that are like healthy foods to eat, and it kind of goes through and explain like the health benefits of these foods. And then there's also a book out there called, or I don't remember exactly, or bad. It's like good foods to eat, and then there's another one called bad foods to eat. Don't quote me on the actual title name of that, but I'm pretty sure if you Google search it, you will come up with something.
It's at Barnes & Noble if you just want to go there and go to the cooking section.
Is it at Barnes? Okay,
yeah,
fair enough. But the deal is what's really cool in there is it explains how certain foods, what they do to your body and how it affects your body. So for example, like certain foods, it'll be like, oh, in the bad food book, it'll be like, hey, this food causes fatigue or drowsiness or like however you want to explain it. And like the good food is like, oh, it gives you high energy and stuff like that, and it lasts your hunger long. Like you can eat this and you're not hungry for X amount. I mean, I wouldn't say X amount of time, but you eat this food and you feel fuller for a longer period of time.
And there's now been studies that I just learned something. So during the summertime, you kind of get a little red, Yeah. Well, that's because of what you put in your body. Which I always knew, what you put in and on your body depends on the outcome of your body.
Yep.
Boom. But if you have a high seed oil consumption, you will end up being out in the sun. You will turn red. You will sunburn. But if you eat like tallow or coconut oil or, butter, you don't turn near as red because you're not oxidizing the oils like the the vegetable oils, the seed oils that do oxidize out in the sun, and that's what turns your skin red. What? Yeah. That's why we have skin cancer. What?
The crazy part too is another example is go out and eat at some fast food restaurant, and then so for example, let's say you go and order like a double cheeseburger from McDonald's or something, right? And you look at how many calories are in that meal and you eat it and you're not really full off of that meal, right? And then you go home and you actually cook the same exact burger using fresh meat, fresh buns, stuff like that, and you eat like half of the sandwich and you're like, man, why am I so full?
Well, I can tell you, because you're looking at the calories, which is just a heat conversion, heat whatever, and not looking at what you need to look at, which is protein, fats, and carbs.
Yeah. What I'm just saying is even if you go to like Sonic, I think, what was it? I was down in Missouri one time, and they actually mentioned that Sonic was one of the best places for protein. But the deal is even after you ate all that, you're like, I'm still not full. And it's like, but the deal is you just packed, and it was probably like protein powder they like sprinkled on the burgers or something, and just to say, oh yeah, we have this much protein. But yeah, so there's another example is if you eat a home cooked meal compared to something out and about, you're gonna get fuller off of that home cooked meal compared to eating out.
Hey, next one we have social media and fear of missing out. So pick one night this week and leave your phone in another room. What? For 3 hours. 3 hours. Not airplane mode, just another room. See what happens to your anxiety. See what happens to your conversations. They did a study with this with high school, like middle school, high school girls. They took away their phones for like, I think 3 weeks or a week or 3 weeks. They did it in groups. Yeah. And so they had one group that still had their phones, one group that did like a week, and then one group that did 3 weeks, you know? Yeah. And they found out that the longer you went away from your phones, the less anxiety, the less problems they had, the less stress they had, everything. Depression was down. But the girls that still had their phones, they were still anxious, depressed, high stressed, just complaining and going on about everything. Yep. So it has been proven that if you get away from your phone for a few hours, you'll be better off.
So one thing in this too is, so Charlie Kirk mentioned it a lot too, is every Sunday in his household when he was alive. I don't know if Erica still implements this or not in her household, but when Charlie was alive, every Sunday he called it the no media day. All cell phones would be shut off, all TVs, radios, every single thing that was like electronic in that household was all shut off, and it was just a giant family day. They'd go do things, they'd play in the house, have absolutely no worries in the world. And he said those days were the best days because come Monday, everybody was so much more replenished and recouped and ready to go. And so if you want to implement that plan, you can do it once a day, or if you just want to do every few hours, that's fine too. But you will notice there is a drastic change that happens when you don't have because I will tell you this too, is there are the days that I'm really busy and I'm constantly like driving or constantly working in the shop or constantly doing this and hardly ever think about like phone usage. Like I feel like I accomplished more that day compared to like a slow day where I'm sitting around scrolling through because I'm so bored or I'm watching a video or like I feel like I achieved more when where I had no clue where my phone was at compared to the days where
during breaks I like to stare at a wall, think about my problems, sit down with the devil, don't make a deal,
duke
but
it out.
Yeah, don't make a deal, but I'll duke it out. Yeah.
All right, Job, just wrestling with the devil.
Yep. I know God got my back. I got nothing to worry about. No sweat in this body. Hell nah. That light work. That's light work. Well, I just stare at a wall,
So those of you that constantly play on your phones, it can also lead to the next thing we talked about, which is burnout.
Oh, what? No
Yeah.
way. Ask yourself right now what battery level you're actually at.
Not your phone, dummy.
Dang it. Be honest. What are you? What are you? If you're below 50%, you're not being humble. You're running on fumes and calling it discipline or adrenaline. One of the two. Book rest like you'd book a meeting. Put it on the calendar today. I tend to take Saturdays off. I try to anyway until someone says, no, you're doing this today. And it's like, no, I just want to do nothing. I don't want to sloth or anything. But
I wonder who calls you the most.
Yeah. Who calls me the most? I don't know.
I can tell you so sometimes it's me, but the reason I'm laughing is because it's someone close to me. We're not saying names.
Yeah, no names brought. No names. Anyway, but yeah, if you play on your phone too much, you're going to have burnout.
Yeah.
If you do anything too much, you're going to have burnout.
Exactly.
This is why rest is important. This is why God gave you rest.
This is why God rested on the 7th day.
Yeah, dude, he would have been burnt out come Monday again. He would have been, Sunday, I guess. Sunday, because the Sabbath is actually on a Saturday. Read the freaking Bible, bro.
Yeah.
Gosh dang. Can't believe you're trying to tell me wrong. Here I am.
That's why the Seventh-day Adventists don't work Saturdays.
And that's why if you go to a Jewish neighborhood on Saturday, they don't do nothing. It's dead. But if you go there on a Sunday, you're like, oh, what the heck? What's going on? And then we have information overload. That's assignment number 4? Yeah. Unfollow and unsubscribe from one source today that leaves you angrier or more anxious than informed. One source takes 30 seconds. But if you dare unfollow us, no, I'm kidding. Yeah, that's kind of nice. Because, I haven't done it in like a year or two, but I'll go through my phone every once in a while and I'll find like someone I follow and it's like, dude, I honestly don't even look at their stuff anymore. Don't care. Unfollow.
I was gonna say too is like with this is so like unfollow things that like make you anxious or angry or something like that. And if there is something out there, which hopefully we are one of those things that make you think or give you positive vibes and stuff like that, then go ahead and follow those guys. I know one thing that I know I'm going to get probably a lot of heat with this one, but PragerU or Prager University, they have an app out there that teaches like history. It has like little kids shows. It kind of teaches what's going on in our government. It basically dumbs it down for you in basic terms. I personally like it because, like I said, it kind of like you hear all this media stuff that goes on and everything else, and you don't really know how to cipher it. This kind of helps you cipher it because it tells you like how this country was built, how it's supposed to be ran, and it kind of explains what's going on, and you can kind of sit back and go, oh, hey, like this was something the government implemented, and now we got government problems. Or it's got little like 10-minute videos that explains the Bible and stuff to kids. It's just, like I said, it's an all-around app that I use for like Ivy and stuff because she enjoys watching the videos. It's educational and it's dumbed enough down to where and the average person can understand it.
So like you?
Yeah, I know, like me.
Wow, that's crazy.
I'm the smartest, dumbest guy you'll ever meet.
Yeah, we just pull stuff out of our bouteilles and hey. Anyway, we're moving on to independent artists. Yeah, so this week or sometime, go find one indie artist, local, underground, whatever, and buy something directly from them. Not stream, buy. Like Bandcamp is a good website. They have their own merch table. So you can help put money in real person's hands. Go, I'll shout out Caleb Kenner, you know. Go listen to him. He's on Spotify. He's on Amazon. He's on everything, bro. Go listen to him. Go. He probably has merch too. I'm an independent artist. We are independent artists with this podcast, technically.
Yep.
So, you know, I have a merch store. You can check it out. Have fun paying shipping. I mean, that's the big thing. But hey, love and support the show, bro.
There's also you'd be amazed. So one of my friends, he's kind of like a do-it-all guy. He's a solo artist, basically. He's kind of like 9 Inch Nails, but the deal is he pre-records everything before he goes to shows. Unlike 9 Inch Nails, where he found a local band that would play his songs with him. But everything he does, like the guitars, drums, stuff like that, all pre-recorded. He's actually playing in Lincoln tonight. He also does a big deal where he tries to locally finance his own bands or bring in like other bands and do one big giant show. He's out of Beatrice, so he tries to do a big giant show like around the Beatrice area where he will finance his own he will finance the bands, he will pay for them out of his own pocket, stuff like that. Granted, there might be a cover charge at the door, there might be something to help him put a little bit more money into his pocket, because he is spending the money on these bands to do it. But there are local people out there. So Rico's Pass is the band that I'm talking about that does this, but there are bands out there that will try to do local shows. They will try to bring in their friends and stuff like that and find a way. So go support these guys, because these beginner, I call them beginner bands because they're not as famous as like Tech Nine and those guys and stuff, but a lot of these local independent bands, they do a lot of shows in your local bars, like local events that your community puts on. So go support them. That's pretty much my 2 cents. And and a lot of these guys too, is I know Brett from Rico's Pass. He's actually I think it was last year, he offered to do a show for free because he heard about, like, we were talking about like the playground for Gilead and everything else. Unfortunately, we didn't have the people support it and the people back it, but he was willing to do the show for free as long as the money went to something. So a lot of these small independent artists, they're not making the big bucks. They're actually putting the money back into their own communities, and they're like, for example, like Tech Nine, he invests his money back into like young uprising artists, and he actually gives those guys a shot and a chance to get a record label. And so these guys are not just trying to put money in their pocket. They're using that to put it back in their communities, using that to bring up rising stars and give people chances, because nobody took a chance on them. And so, yeah. So think about that for a minute. You're not just supporting the big name guy. I mean, in a sense you are, but you're supporting somebody who's trying to do something bigger than somebody with an agent and somebody who's mainstream.
Hey, next up, we have the small town revival. The next time you're about to order something online that a local business,
Say something like that
go
earlier.
get it locally instead. Yes, Levi said it. I thought about skipping it, but one purchase, that's all it takes. That's a vote for your own community.
So I'm not gonna like on this because I pressed hard on this, but if you're part of a community committee that's supposed to like help better the community, please go support your small town businesses, even if it is more, because all you're doing if you buy it online is you're you're basically being a hypocrite because you're in a position that's supposed to build the community and you're not supporting the community. So think of it that way.
So if you're in a relationship, go ask your partner what their love language is this week. You don't already know. And then actually do something in that language before the week ends. If you're single, get off the apps for 1 week. Put yourself in one real social situation, a church event, a community thing, a friends gathering,
A club, a bar. We were just talking about local bands.
Yeah, go look at local bands, bro. But red flags for bar chicks or bar guys, just letting you know, red flags for right now. But at least if you show up in person and shoot your shot, you shot a shot, bro. That's all that matters. You're not 0%, you're at least 50% because you shot it, bro. Shot it.
The other thing I forgot to mention in this whole relationship thing is don't ever stop dating. And you're like, but wait, what do you mean by that? Like, I'm a married man. Like, I shouldn't be dating. Yes, you should be dating because the reason he or she fell in love with you is because you were doing things, like you were chasing them and you were doing things to keep their attention because you liked them. Just because you're married doesn't mean you can stop doing that. You need to continue to chase that person and continue to go on dates and try to...
It keeps the spice alive.
There we go.
Yeah. There's some Gen Z slang for you.
Speaking of that, did you know that there's the Webster Dictionary now has some of that stuff in there? So if you look in the word of cap, there will be like the definition of like a bottle cap and stuff like that, right? Or a lid, right? But if you actually look in there, there's how old is that one?
The 90s.
Yeah, it probably ain't gonna be in there.
Hold on. I don't remember. I saw. That's T. No, wait. I need P. Okay, there's one cap. Okay, they do only have 2 caps.
But yeah, so basically, like they'll say the definition of like a cap is like a definition of a lid, and in your modern Webster dictionary or I think it's Merriam. Yeah, Merriam-Webster. So in there, cap also means lie. And so they're starting to put this stuff in, which I was like, no, don't.
You're just being over the top. You're capping, dog. You're capping. You're over the top, dog. You're capping.
I was just like, no, we don't need all this slang in here for... There's a reason Urban Dictionary is out there.
Mm-hmm.
Leave it in Urban Dictionary, not the actual true. Because now, unfortunately, when my daughter goes to school and writes an essay,
and you try to help her read it, and you're just like, what the heck did I just read? Yeah, you're gonna have fun. Anyway, pick one skill that makes you harder to replace. So this is to replace AI or job security. Spend 30 minutes a week learning it. One tutorial, one article, one conversation with someone who knows more than you. Start the habit. So in this, how do I want to say this? In music, right, there's a lot of the AI going on in AI music and blah, blah, blah. You can just go and find a website and say, I want energetic, this, 4 bars, this, bam, you're done. You pick your instruments, you're done. On the other hand, I like to actually go in and try. I've been trying to sound design. Yes, sound design, which is as it sounds. It's mind blowing, but it's honestly kind of fun. It's nervousing. It looks nervous when you start, but when you start getting to it and you're like, oh, that kind of makes sense, because you literally, it's just playing around. You just play around until you find the sound that sounds right. You just keep switching knobs until you finally get that one beautiful, beautiful sound that you want, that you like, and you're like, ooh. And then a melody pops in your head like right away, and you're like, bam, let's go, let's get it. So yeah, that is one personal thing I've been learning is sound design. as I watch some videos and then I get ideas and test them.
So I watched a video the other day, right? And they were talking about how the best advice you can ever get is going to a nursing home and spending like 1 hour with the pick a resident, any resident. One, you're going to make their whole entire day because they actually had someone different to talk to, not the same old people they see every day, not the same staff, so on and so forth. And just spend like an hour, 2 hours, whatever, picking their brain. Now, I honestly, I wish I had time to do this, and if I could, I'd make time to do this, but I will tell you is that's one thing I truly miss is I always enjoyed going to the restaurant, like my parents' restaurant, and I took a lot of advice for granted growing up because if I was smarter back then, if I was not so naive or prideful or whatever and was like, oh, hey, like, I don't need to listen to old timers. They don't know what they're talking about. Granted, there's a lot of information they told me that stuck with me and it's helped me throughout my whole life. But that was one thing is I wish I could go back in time because a lot of the guys that were really, really smart and I wish I could go have conversations with them again are unfortunately no longer here. And so that's the thing is like this older generation, eventually we're all going to die and that's just part of it. But the older generation, those people have lived through things, they've experienced things, they could tell you what they would do different in their life and so on and so forth, and every little bit of advice they could tell you and pass on to the next generation, it's a blessing. And don't take it for granted because these guys just they know things that you and I normally wouldn't think of. And sometimes all they want to do is just pass that knowledge on to someone else. Maybe their kids don't want it. Maybe their grandkids don't want to listen to it. I know a lot of times as some guy, like, I know a lot of times growing up in the bar, they'd be like, man, I just wish I could pass this on. Like, I just wish my kids would listen to this. Or I wish I could pass this knowledge on to somebody else. And now as I'm older, I see that. I was like, man, I really wish I gained more out of this person while they were here and not going, hey, I wish I could talk to that person right now so I could solve this problem. So think of it that way too.
Spiritual questions. If you've been sitting on a spiritual question you haven't answered yet about faith, about God, about what you actually believe in, stop sitting on it. Go read the book of John. Go read the Bible. Go read everything. Read everything. Start there. It was written specifically for people who aren't sure. Give it one chapter and see what happens.
So the book of John was actually written for non-believers. So which is really crazy because every book of the Bible is technically written to a non-believer, but every author in the Bible had a tendency of writing to fellow brothers and sisters in Christ. John, on the other hand, decided to take a step back and say, hey, we need someone with the fundamentals, the basics, everything, that somebody who doesn't know about God or doesn't know about Jesus or this and that, they need to be able to read this book and understand the importance of what Jesus did and his sacrifice on the cross and how he saved us from eternal death. And that is how John wrote that book.
And as it has been proven that John was just writing what he saw, he described, in the gospel. Well, it has now been proven by science. Let's go. We win. Science is just a study of God, for Lord's sake, man. Stop arguing about it. Hey, man-made versus spiritual value. Write down 3 things you've been measuring your worth by that aren't actually yours to carry. Status, someone else's definition of success, a standard you never agreed to, name them, then set them down. So, a lot of people, we struggle with status. We have, like, if you go to school, you have the rich, popular people. Well, you have the rich people, you have the popular people, you have the country people, you have the nerds, and then you have those
the low lives,
and then you have the floaters that just float in between each and every single one.
I don't really know if I would say low lives, but it'll work. I don't really want to I don't want to offend anybody, but the deal is okay. there is a group.
Like, we're saying status, so we're gonna say let's have labels for right now, because we're labeling things. So low lives, low poverty, blah blah blah. They hang out too. It happens, but none of that actually matters, bro. Because some of you, like, I was a floater. I could sit wherever the heck I wanted, bro.
I was too.
And so, I've realized that if they would just stop caring about their status and actually got along, like, talk to each other, like, a lot more would be achieved in this world. We could solve so many problems if we would just get rid of this status and labels, bro.
So the other thing too is it, I wouldn't say it's so much like status, but it's kind of really on how you were raised, right? And it's also don't be afraid to go take your shot. I mean, because if I've watched, I think like this week or last week, I don't know. I recently watched a Darman video, and if you don't know who Darman is, he is a digital creator that kind of writes or that does stories and everything. And every one of his stories has a purpose. It's like how some of them might be a poor kid got picked on and now he's the big CEO and he cuts ties with everybody that did business with him, or you know what I mean? It goes into this stuff. And one of them was talking about how certain people, like, your parents push you because they're trying to make you achieve something that you did not, or that they did not achieve themselves. And sometimes, because the video I watched is there was like this really popular cheerleader and she picked on the goth girl and everything because her mom was pressuring her to be a doctor and all she wanted to do was be a cheerleader and stuff like that. So just because your parents, so ultimately as a parent, you should want what's best for your kid, and you should always try to put your kid in the best position possible, right? But at the same time, don't force your kids to resent you just because you didn't achieve something and you're trying to plan out their whole entire future for them. That's not right either. So a lot of times and I'm going to speak from personal experience too, is like a lot of it I learned later in life, but growing up is I always tried to, basically whatever I did was never right in Dad's eyes, right? And don't get me wrong, Dad always trusted me with things. He always encouraged me, like always wanted me to help him with projects, so on and so forth. But it was so discouraging because every time he wanted my help, I would always get criticized for doing this wrong, or I need to do better, and so on and so forth. So all I wanted to do is, I grew up with like, I just want praise from him. And like, it took me a while to realize like, hey, I don't need praise from anybody. Like, I just need to be who I am. I just need to try to be the best person, take everything he taught me and like the values and stuff like that, and try to, and who knows, that might be why I'm anal attentive when it comes to vehicles too, because he was so critique on a lot of that stuff. You probably know that from a construction world too, of there's probably things you see around that it's like drives you nuts because people are doing it and you're like, how can you get away with that?
Yep. We have the sign now. I made one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I made a sign. I said I was going to make one, and so I did. And then we epoxied it, epoxy filled it. Yeah.
What does your sign say?
The Lincoln Way. Because we had someone from Lincoln come down and do a quick job on our little project that we were trying to be precise on. And hey, it was done the Lincoln Way. So, you know, I made a sign called It's the Lincoln Way. So, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, you know what all these actions have in common? Do you want to know? Do you really want to know?
I want to know.
You
I want to
wanna
know. I want to know. Come on, tell me.
They require you to choose yourself, your community, and values over the path of least resistance.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. That's the whole show. That's the whole season right there. We didn't build this series just to entertain you, although we hope you were entertained because, you know, we got Levi being goofy over here.
I try.
We build it because we genuinely believe that the people listening have what it takes to live differently. Well, and also I did it because we have so much misinformation and stress and everything that we kind of get drowned out of what our values are in this world. And I want you to know that you are different than everybody else, and that everybody else around you is different, and that you just need to just breathe and relax, you know, have a good time. Like I made a sign called the Lincoln Way because, you know, instead of taking my stress and my anxiety on someone else, I put it in a sign. I did it to art, you know, to own something real, to build something lasting, love someone faithfully, stand for something true. But belief without action is just a feeling. 1 Corinthians 13 says love bears all things, endures all things, never fails. That's the short version.
Yep.
That's not a description of a feeling. That's a description of commitment that shows up every single day, regardless of how it feels. That's what we're asking you to do, not when the time is right, not when things settle down. Now you can make your choice. Now you can push.
So I know a few weeks ago I made the whole Cleveland Brown comment, but I got thinking the other day because I was kind of watching Husker spring practices and stuff. I got thinking the Husker fan base is probably the most loyal fan base you could ever ask for.
I was talking about this, I think yesterday. I think it was actually yesterday. Because they were talking about the coach and everything. And I was like, oh, I can't wait till football season where we start winning games. Everyone's going to be like, oh, Nebraska's the next big thing. Oh, Nebraska's the greatest thing. Oh, blah, blah, blah. We lose one game and it's fire Coach Rule, fire or get rid of the quarterback. We need a whole new coaching staff. Fire the AD. And it's like, they call us the most loyal fan base.
We're the most toxic. I've said it for years. We're the most toxic fan base.
Mm-hmm. But we're nice to other people.
But the deal is the thing is the commitment that the problem is we make the commitment to show up every single Saturday, sell out tickets because I forget how many games it's gone. And I know this in the back of my head, but I can't think of it right now. But we've gone several consecutive sellout streaks, and we show up every single Saturday to support these guys. But the funny part is we show up to support, like we make the commitment to make the drive, to make the tailgate, to show out for these athletes, and yet we can't make the same commitment to our community, to our church, to our spouse, to our whatever, our job, whatever you want to say, we can't make that commitment, and it's crazy. And the other weird part about this too is, since we're on the topic of college football and commitment, is fair enough. The transfer portal has completely ruined it, because now, back in the day, players used to chase commit like me, like Isaiah and I, growing up in the state of Nebraska, it was a dream to play for Nebraska. That was the dream of every Nebraska kid, right? Was they wanted to wear the white helmets with the red N, whether they made it there or not. That was their dream. They wanted it. Nowadays, they're chasing money. They're not chasing that true commitment, I give credit to people like Henrik Harburg, because he grew up a Kearney kid. He went to the University of Nebraska. He started a couple games. He sat on a bench. He played tight end. I mean, he did everything.
Don't mention he is a walk-on.
Yep.
Oh, don't forget to mention he is a walk-on.
And he was a walk-on and all of that. And the fact that he had that Nebraska loyalty, that Nebraska commitment, the fact that he didn't care as long as he was living out his dream of being a Nebraska Cornhusker, those are the guys that we need to, like, that is what we need to get back to in college football. Not and we talked about it last week with the whole relationship, is how when the emotion dies, you jump ship, because you have apps, you have a backup plan, you have all this other access to things, and you're not. So my challenge to you is, if you're going to show up to a football game or a basketball game or whatever, and you're going to make that commitment, say that 3-hour drive, 4-hour drive, whatever, show up, show out, all that stuff, just for a university or a team or anything. Put that same commitment back into your home life or your job, and see how much farther you really get.
Is that your final thoughts? Is that your raw thoughts?
Yeah, that's kind of the raw talk right there.
There you go. Okay, well, we're gonna close this out. This season is going bye-bye.
See ya.
We want to close with something said earlier this season about love, because it applies to everything in your life. You choose that person every single day, the good, the bad, the ugly. You don't get to wake up and go, I don't like this one, move on to the next model. No, that is how we end up with the problems we have today, as Levi literally was just saying.
Yep.
And that's
I wonder who made that who said that too.
Yeah, it was Levi. That's true for relationships. It's true for your community. It's true for your faith. It's true for your health. It's true for your craft. I don't get to keep upgrading, or you don't get to keep upgrading until you find a version of your life with no friction. The friction is where you grow. The commitment is where the fruit comes from. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting for someone else to fix the town, the industry, the culture, the relationship. You are the someone else. Step in, step up, get off the porch and run with the big dogs, as my track coach always said. You know? This has been the Fruitful 3 Show. Season 3 is now a wrap. Woo woo. I hope you enjoyed this episode, all being about season, I guess. All about values and life and stuff. And we'll catch you in the next season when football season starts again, back in August.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy. But we'll probably see you in a few bonus episodes before then. But anyway, don't forget to go check out merch. That's, go support. Peace, love, happiness, and unity.
Keep rocking on, people.
Let's go.
Keep doing your thing.